Uh, hey guys, thank you for being a part of this webinar. I am Rahul Arora. I am the founder of Interview.io. It's a tool to take tech interviews remotely. And kind of, yes, tools deals directly into hiring as well. And because that is where my background lies, and hence I'm the founder of the startup. Prior to founding this startup, I've been an engineer for about 7 years. I have worked with 3 to 4 major product-based companies in India. People from India, I see there are people from Hyderabad and Bombay as well. I am an ex-Paytm and ex-Amcat, and my last organization was Deutsche Telekom. I was an engineering lead. Just to give you a gist of my whole career, I would have easily taken more than 1,000 plus interviews, all into tech. And my last organization itself, it was a stint of about 2.5 years. I would have taken more than 500 plus. So there were a lot of things that went into taking those interviews, working closely with HRs and even in hiring managers, working closely with the CTOs, and learning a lot of things, why particular things are happening and why particular things are not working out. And we'll be going through all of them. And I'll mostly it's I wanted to do this webinar without the PPT, but yeah, it's totally fine. I think PPT will give us a sense of direction because once I start talking, it usually goes very big. So we will be discussing about uh, how to structure your rounds, how to source the right candidates, how to go about screening, and whatever I've learned through the past 7 years, and even now in the startup, we are expanding our team. We are hiring bunch of folks across roles, engineers, from sales, from marketing as well. We'll talk a bit about that and the challenges that I am facing as a founder, and the challenges that I used to face as a team lead back in a bigger company. We'll all talk about that. So
Perfect, perfect. And guys, I want you to take out your phones. You know the drill. So basically, if you tag us on Instagram, that's at PitchGround. I'm gonna share the link here. And yeah, if you tag us on PitchGround during any time of the presentation, just take a pic and tag us in your stories for the chance to win the interview lifetime deal, the software that you're gonna look in the end and how it's gonna make your hiring really simple. So just anytime during the presentation, if you find any slide that is useful, share it with your friends, guys. Take a picture, tag us on your stories, and that would be amazing. I can see all the notifications that are coming in. So let's do that. Uh, let's get started, Rahul. Yeah.
great. So guys, before I begin with the webinar, with the presentation, would like to know what kind of people do we have on the in the webinar? Do we have hiring managers, people from tech background, HRs, or people from different background? Just want to get a gist of it so that I can make the whole thing contextual, more contextual. And I can see Aslam is a founder already.
Johan is an agency
Johan
owner.
is, yeah, Johan is an agency. Yeah, okay. Okay, Muskan is an entrepreneur as well. Great. We have a couple of entrepreneurs that I can see already. We have someone from digital marketing, Juhi. Okay, great. Well, something about digital marketing is what I learned as a founder, because past 7 years I've been an engineer, and digital marketing was something that, at least from the hiring perspective, it was completely new. So I'll probably give some of insights there as well, and probably learn from you guys as well. Uh,
Absolutely, yeah.
so we have graphic designer and web designer. Okay, freelance digital marketer. All right.
If you're a
Anyone from
freelancer, chances are that you're gonna become an entrepreneur tomorrow. So,
for
yep,
sure, yes.
you
That's the
can
next
never
step.
know. You never know, because I was faced with these challenges for the very first time. I'm like, I didn't expect that I would face this growth in PitchGround. So I was like, okay, you gotta hire people. I'm like, okay, how to hire people? I've got books and everything. I'm like reading, freaking out. Oh my god, how are we gonna do this? Because it's not an easy job. You're representing the whole company and etc. So guys, this is gonna be really useful for you if you're not already a founder as well. Yep, I got a haircut.
Wow.
Let's, yeah.
Great. Do we have anyone from the HR here? If yes, just put a yes. Great. I think we don't. Cool. All right, guys. So I'll just begin. Let me just share across my screen. I've already given a small introduction of myself. So let's get started.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Great. So the topic for today is how to hire, right? The art of hiring. Well, as I said, I'm the founder of Interview. We'll be just be going through these 5 things wherein uh, we'll be talking about why investing time is hiring in hiring is the most important thing. You cannot afford to have bad hires. How to go about sourcing the candidates once you have sourced, how to screen the candidates, and how to then structure your interview process. And then probably we'll go through a better way to do manage your interview process, and then we'll conclude with a Q&A. Let's start. So obviously, if you hire someone bad, it will only start reflecting. Firstly, hiring is a very painstaking process because you utilize all your company resources into hiring. You give your own bandwidth. If you're a founder, if you're someone from the HR, you're sourcing candidates day in day out using different job boards or different tools that are available out there in the market. You're talking to the candidates, screening them, and then you are making your panel, whosoever the panel is, if it's a tech role, if it's an engineering panel, if it's outside of a tech role, let's say digital marketing role, you're making that person go through a series of rounds. And in the end of those rounds, if you are investing like X number of hours from your resources, that costs you money. And after that, if you end up making a bad hiring decision, that will only show up after few weeks of the person joining your company. And bad hire can cost you more than just money. It can be a loss of productivity. It can be the team morale can go down because uh, especially in small teams, right? Let's say you're doing a startup and you have a team of 2 to 3 people, and the person that you hire next is, if you make a pie chart out of it, it's 25% of your team, the next person. And if that person is a bad hire, or let's say does not hire your company, your whole team, uh, it can damage the morale of the team. You can have unhappy clients. You might have planned things ahead of time uh, for your particular roadmap or for your feature to be shipped at a particular date. But let's say this person is a bad hire, joins your organization, and now 4 of your resources who are already in the team are kind of managing the work of this person because it's not there up to the mark. Or let's say this person is not sound from a cultural perspective. He may or she may join your organization and kind of you know uh, put in thoughts which are not in line with your culture, and that might be again totally against the totally in anti to the whole organization's morale and the way you want to proceed as a company. And again, it's also a damage to the company reputation because eventually you are not able to meet your goals. You're wasting time managing bad hires, and you have to go through the whole process of rehiring the person again, and you have to live the whole cycle again, which kind of becomes a nightmare. So it's very, very important as a first step to invest time right, and to invest more time in hiring. Here's one thing: when I became a founder, that I came to know. Uh, this was in my initial days as a founder, and this is back from January this year. I used to think that, hey, I need to do more sales, get into do more coding, and make the product, take the product from point A to point B. And hiring is kind of taking a lot of my time, and I'm not able to devote a lot of my time into work that will really, really matter. And the thought process that came into my mind, that was only because the results of hiring are not visible to you right at the time when you're hiring. It's a long term game. You have to you make a team, you make the team go through an onboarding process, make the team settle into your company's culture, and that's when the team will start devoting to your product features or whatever you want them to devote to. So hiring is a you have to visualize hiring in the right way. And the way I used to visualize it in back in January, to the way I visualize it now, I what I really think is, as a founder, and I see there are a lot of founders in the audience already, I think it's very important to devote time to hiring, even if it's taking your full day. There are days when I used to go on LinkedIn, source for candidates, when I used to cold reach out to candidates to uh, join our organization, and it's hard, but it's very important. One, if you are the founders in, especially for the founders in the audience, the one thing that will take your startup from 0 to 1 is the team. You cannot do it alone. And for the right team, you'll have to invest at the right time, and you have to invest way more than you think of, be it in sourcing the candidates or screening them, or at the time when they are onboarded, nurturing them. We'll all talk about that. But yeah, it's very important. Moving on. Yeah, this is what I strongly believe in, and this is what I've done even when I was hiring at Paytm or even at MCAT. I think let's compare what hiring was like in 2014 to what it is today and in 2021. Uh, I think people in 2014 had way lesser options than what they have in 2021 with the ecosystem evolving. There are so many options, so many people offering the same kind of job. Then how do you make sure that this person that you are hiring, if they seem fit for the role, how do you make sure that they join your company, they join you in your vision? It's very hard. Uh, they can just they, they can they can just reject your offer and move to another company. So I'm sorry, yeah. So they can just reject your offer and move to another company. So it's very important to sell your product to the candidate. It does not matter if you are working in a company. It does not matter if you're a founder. At every point in time, hiring is like sales. You have to sell, and it depends on the person you want to hire. For example, I'll just take you through the examples which are there in the slide ahead, which I did as a hack to kind of source candidates, uh, and sell the product to them at the very first place, even before they applied. And when I was working in companies like Paytm, uh, I used to sell them the team. There's always something to sell. If you are working in a very good company, it might be the brand itself, it might be the team, it might be the benefits in the company, which is again a part of the company itself. It might be your idea, your vision. So you have to sell that. Just make sure it cannot be uh, a 0 or a 1 process. There are a lot of gray areas, and you have to make sure that you mitigate all of those gray areas by selling. So hiring is like sales, and you have to in sales. People, especially from the digital marketing background, and also founders will relate to this. You make a customer persona, and hiring is exactly similar. You have to make a candidate persona, and this is where I've seen in my past organization. I took about 500 plus tech interviews. We had a huge rejection count. We used to reject about we used to select about 1 in 45 candidates, and that too, the candidates who reach out who used to reach to my interview round. And before my interview round, there were 2 other interview rounds, and I used to select 1 in 40. It was too bad. And the reason it was bad was this thing. We only came to know when this thing got escalated, and we were sitting in a conference room having a team meeting with the management, because there were so many resources that were getting wasted. We ended up discussing that there is no feedback loop which is present there in the organization, which is telling the HRs to source the right people. And in my case particularly, the engineers were the one who were taking the interviews, and they were passing on single liners to the HRs. And the HRs, being from a non-tech background, they cannot make sense out of a technical single liner. So for example, a single liner used to be like, hey, this candidate's JavaScript concepts are not clear. And someone from the HR, it's very hard to make sense out of that single line. So the feedback wasn't detailed, the loop wasn't being closed, and the right candidates weren't being sourced. And the only reason because was the candidate persona was not there. So in the absence of a candidate persona, what happens is either the candidate rejects you after clearing your company's interview process, or you end up rejecting the candidate during one of the interview rounds. So make the persona right, and we'll go through how to do that in the slides ahead. Coming to sourcing, this one is rather challenging, especially for startups who are at early stage. Your brand is unknown, your name is unknown, you are not very much known in the market. And there are companies out there who are hiring people left, right, and center, offering more money than what you have, offering more benefits than what you have. Then how do you make sure that you source the right people? Uh, there are some ways. Uh, you need to create a requirement doc with again granular details about the role. This is important, and there may be founders in the audience who would say, "Hey, this is a time waste. I don't want to do that. I don't have the time to do that." But trust me, guys, making a, a small document, maybe if you are a user of Notion or something, it takes like 5 minutes. It will tell you the depth of a person you need. It will also allow you to structure your questions when you are hiring the candidate. I'll give you an example. Let's say you do not write about cultural fit, and you skip the cultural fit part, and you write about the other three things, which are experience, skill set, and soft skills. And let's say the candidate passes all the three things, we will end up having a person who's a bad hire because they are not a cultural fit, and that will be a cost to your company. You won't even know, and your entire team will go for a toss. It's very, very important, especially when you are at an early stage building a core team. Uh, each and every member plays a crucial role. It's like four wheels of a car. It's like if one wheel does not run properly, the car you won't be able to drive the car. That's how important it is. So this doc will help you structure the whole kind of the criteria, and it will help you evaluate the candidate on the right parameters. So this is a real life example. So let's say you are hiring for a software developer. Some traits that you would want to look at is the person should be a fresher who's hungry to learn new things. Again, this can vary from organization to organization. This is especially what we had as an organization, and very, very recently when we were hiring back in February, even we are hiring now. So have made projects or worked with 3 core languages that we use, and they can join immediately. Uh, and if you are hiring for a non-tech role, have they have already done, let's say sales is one of the roles. They've already done some form of sales. They're a hustler because, again, in any sort of an organization, especially when it comes to a startup or even with an organization which is like big, you need someone who can hustle and take your sales from point A to point B. They can communicate effectively with the customers around the globe. Especially when you're into businesses which are across territories, this becomes as an important criteria. And of course, they can join immediately. In other cases, it can be they should be willing to join in the next 30 days or 60 days, whatever your criteria is. Just jot it down in a document, and that is very, very important. I think it's very important to understand channels. And that's where I want to again talk about hiring in 2014 versus what it is in 2021. And I'm just going to go to Zoom here and see how many people use Twitter for their brand presence, or even when, um, you know, even when you're on platforms, how many people use LinkedIn or Twitter, or do you go coldly talking to outside of your network, trying to engage with people to increase your network? Okay. So we have Shairaj who says,
I personally use a big fan of Twitter as well. So yeah.
great. Any people in the audience who are using LinkedIn, Twitter? Okay, Udit has already mentioned Twitter, so LinkedIn. Okay, great. I'll tell you why these platforms are important. And 2014 was when you were buying. People still buy a lot of products to source the right candidates. Even we go to consultants to help us source the right candidates. But here's the deal, guys. Platforms like Twitter and LinkedIn, they are so slick. They've worked on their algorithm so much. I've literally seen Twitter profiles going from 100 followers to 40,000 followers in a matter of 20 days. And I am not making this up. I've been closely associated with people who have done that in the past. And imagine you having 40,000 followers, or let's say you have 7,000 followers on Twitter. Uh, how you can get to there is totally a separate topic, but it's very, very important to use these platforms, which were not available as proactively as they're available today in 2014. And people used to rely a lot on referral networks and consultants. But uh, if I talk about modern day use cases, LinkedIn and Twitter are two platforms that you can utilize to the best of how you can do that. And second of all, your own network or people outside of it. You have to engage. I can give you some examples in my startup journey. So I used to cold email a lot of people last year, before we went I went full time into the startup. So I used to talk to a lot of people, and I used to cold email people a lot, and I used to experiment in with my cold emailing a lot. And I happen to get on a call with, especially people, if you are here from India, I happen to get on a call with founders of Snapdeal, just by my cold email. Lenskart CEO Amit, I happen to get on a call with him, and I got on a call with Kunal Shah. So and out of all these people, 3 out of 4 invested in my startup. And it's not just finding an investor, it's also important for hiring. Back in February, we were looking out for an engineer to join our core team. And I was in a hurry, as every founder is when you are doing a startup. So what I did was, rather than going to LinkedIn or Twitter, just as a prerequisite, I went to all the people I met last year with my cold interactions. I had their numbers on WhatsApp. I sent them a message if they know anyone who's looking out for a job. And there were about, I clearly remember, about 18 people that I messaged, that I met last year. They were completely new, outside of my network, even not my friends of friends. They were completely new. I did some cold emails. Networking is very important. I was able to do my first hire, and just because that hiring that happened came from a network which was very strong, that was built over the last year. That person is still working with us, and that person has contributed to the company so much. So I think networking is very important. And again, putting social media to use. If you have good followers on LinkedIn or Twitter, I'll just show you a sample example of how you can go about your hiring and sourcing candidates. Let's move on. Again, this is what I've already explained, the importance of networking. Just go out of your comfort zone. Meet people outside of your friends network, or maybe ask some of your friends to introduce you to their friends who you know are influential and can tomorrow help you. Or even if they are not influential, are working in some company. I can cite one of the examples. We need some interns to join our team, and I had, being 7 years into the industry already, I had lost contact with almost all the college grads. So what we did was, I reached out coldly to some of the college grads. They replied, and we went deeper into their network, and we were able to hire about 6 interns just from their network. And now we are expanding the network in a way such that just about when the internship of one person is about to end, we ask them to refer another 3 people. And that is how that is how networking operates. It's an exponential kind of an effect. So I think, guys, networking is really important. uh, yeah, so coming to how you can plan your sourcing activities. So this is what I explained at the very start of the presentation. Pitch something that is unique in your team, product, idea, company, depending on the stage you are at. So if you are already working in an established organization, your brand name is, let's say, unknown. So your team is something, or your product is something that you can pitch definitely. If you are an early stage founder, your idea may be something that will be worth selling. If you are already an established brand, your company's brand name is worth selling. So there is always uh, something worth selling. I would be open to taking up questions later on, to know if you have anything that you think, hey, I cannot sell this. Selling is really important when you're sourcing people. And this is a good example. I'll just show you a post that we did on LinkedIn, and that is a good example of how we put social media to use, along with pitching something that was unique in our startup, and we were able to get a lot of traction. So this was one of my posts. We were actually looking out for a software engineer. This is again a 1 month old post. This post has nothing unique. It has just content, which like any job post would have. But here's the unique part, and this is the unique thing with our startup. Our tech stack is really deep, and someone who's from an engineering background and they read this extensive a tech stack, they would definitely be wanting, because any company who's like as big as Amazon, or let's say as big as Uber, will, if they hire you, they'll put you to a role which is like very specific, a very small role, where you'll be confined to the boundaries of that role. Whereas in a startup like ours, We had all the tech stack and everything open to the person who will join us. And if you check the post, we explicitly wrote in the post, hey, you only need to know the three things and we will onboard you on the rest. And the rest of the things were these. And this like for engineers, it just hit the right things in their brain. And we had an overwhelming response. This post got shared a lot. And this was the unique selling point. It's like for a startup, it's like important to have a product market fit. This whole post, the product market fit thing was this Excel mentioning the tech stack for an engineer, and we had so many applications. So 87 for the software developer role, we did a similar activity for hiring a salesperson as well. But for the software developer role, we had 87 leads, and we had 35 positive conversations. Before 87 leads, I had about 218 emails, and I still have unread LinkedIn messages. Trust me, guys. Like I got bombarded with so many messages. The day this post went live, just because of the kind of the way it was structured, we had about I had about 62 connection requests in the very next hour, and it was very overwhelming. People were just messaging that they are very interested in this position. The tech stack really intrigues them and whatnot. So it's very important to sell something at the very upfront. So just go that extra mile out of your comfort zone to do it. Uh, I would be happy to answer what we did with the sales post. What was unique in that? In maybe in the Q&A if you want to ask that. Coming to screening, which is the next step. Now you have source candidates. What's next? You would definitely want to screen them. But hey, you have a lot of applications. How do you make sure that if you are in a larger company, how do you someone from your HR team going to screen it, or if you're a founder, are you going to go through each and every application, or if you are someone who's a member of a team, or maybe a CTO or someone like that, is it like you are going to read all the emails and respond to them and screen each and every candidate? Turns out, like, yeah, there is a better way to do it. So obviously you need to create a standard screening doc. This is a very tech focused screening doc, but yeah, you can make a screening doc which is uh, very centric to the kind of role you are hiring for. Like in our case, we did a simple resume screening, then we sent them a take home assignment. We did face to face rounds. With this is like a every step is a knockout. So we did not scan through 218 resumes. We picked the first 50, and because we had only one position to close. And now, depending on the number of positions you have to close, and also, see, you won't, as a founder or as someone who's hiring in the team, you won't have 5 positions to instantly close today. If you have that, trust me, you're doing very well. You should hire a person to take care of your hiring. You should not do it yourself. So yeah, that's one thing. But let's say you have a couple of position or one position to take care of, and you're the single person managing that. You don't have to go through each and every resume. Let's say you pick 50 resumes, skim through them. You don't even have to go in depth. And if you find them good enough, you can just send them an assignment. You don't have to talk to each and every person, and that will act as a round of filter. And post that, whosoever people according to your set criteria passes your assignment, you can invite them to face rounds. And it's very important to do a cultural fit round. Now the order of this 4 steps can be interchanged depending on the stage you are at, the stage you are hiring. And I would like to elaborate a bit more on that before I come to sending an assessment. Here's the thing I used to do when I was working in a larger organization like Paytm. We used to do resume screening first, but today, and then we used to send the take home assignment. But today, when I'm hiring as a founder, I do the cultural fit first, because I have a very small team. The team, I have like 5 engineers in my team, and if I'm hiring an engineer and I'm not doing the cultural fit at the very first place, and I'm doing resume screening, sending them a take-home assignment, and inviting them to the face-to-face round, what if the fourth round they are not a cultural fit? My entire hiring process and my entire productivity of my engineering team has gone for a toss. And that's what I cannot afford as a founder. So cultural fit is the first thing that I do when I'm doing the resume. And how do you do that? Yes. So we do talk to candidates. We call them up. We tell them that, hey, this is the kind of culture we have. We work, we hustle. Would you be, and we do not have benefits as good as a large organization, but hey, what we can offer you is a tech stack where you can learn, and that's where you sell also, because that's your first interaction with anybody. So this again, this whole sequence can be interchanged depending on the kind of level you are operating. Then sending an assessment, it's a pretty simple process depending on the kind of role you are hiring for. If you are someone who's hiring for a digital marketer, when we were looking out for a product marketer, we made an assignment. We thought, hey, what is the key metric that we are after? That if this person cracks it, we will be able to get this person on a call and do a face-to-face round with him. So what we did was we devised an assignment around our key metric. And let's say, just to put an example, right? Let's say our key metric is content syndication. We want to drive growth through content syndication, or maybe if the channel of growth is for us is, let's say, Google Ads, or let's say you don't even have it figured out. You are finding a product channel fit. Then maybe Bullseye is one method that you would want to try. So you would want a person who's like who understands psychology as a marketer, and he's hands-on on most of the marketing tools available out there, so that psychology can be applied at scale. So maybe you would build an assessment around it, and would ask the person to do that before you call the person for the face-to-face round. So that's how you can structure your assessment. Let's say the person has already passed the assessment round. I hope I'm not going too fast on this. I'm just going to switch back to Zoom and check in if there's anything. Okay, there's nothing right now. Cool. So I'm just going to jump to interviews. So let's say this person passed your assignments. So what's next? You have to take their interviews. So they need to be structured and collaborative for sure. We'll come to the collaborative part later on. They need to be structured. Let's say you have 3 rounds of interviews, and there's a different person taking every round. What if they're not structured? You'll end up either asking the same questions, or you'll just drift away from topics, or you won't be able to assess the candidates as horizontally as you could have if your rounds were structured. I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm hiring for a digital marketer. I'll give you 2 examples. If I'm hiring for a digital marketer, and then if I'm hiring for a tech role. So let's say I'm hiring for a digital marketer, and my first round revolves around maybe testing the person's psychology, and second round revolves around testing the person's hands-on knowledge across different tools, and my third round is a cultural fit round. Let's say I have it structured. So the interviews, now my interviews are very, very structured. The questions asked in each and every round are very, very structured. What if the rounds are not structured? So in the first round, I'll end up discussing tools, and I may not even pay heed to psychology. And there may be a good chance that psychology may be completely skipped, which is a very important trait as a product marketer. Or if I'm hiring for a tech role, for example, and let's say I'm hiring for someone like a full stack developer who needs to know front end, back end, and even databases, infrastructure, everything. Let's say my first round only talks about data structure algorithms. My second round talks about language concepts. Third round talks about horizontal knowledge across ecosystem, or how an application is shipped. What if these rounds were not structured? I would just be in a mess. The interview would be very, very chaotic. And trust me, guys, does not matter what stage you are at, this also adds to the candidate experience, and it goes a long, long way. So there are people who just drop out because their interviewing experience was bad, and they won't join your company. And that's what you are actually putting at stake with not structuring your rounds. And that has happened to us in the past. That has happened with me in my last organization, when we were hiring pretty early. Still at a pretty early stage. We were a 5-people team. Later on, ramped up to 210 people engineering team. It had happened to us back then as well. Very important to structure your rounds. Coming to collaborative interviews, I would like to go through these slides a bit faster, so that I can leave more room for Q&A, because that's where most of the questions will be answered. So coming to collaborative interviews, why do interviews needs to be collaborative? What actually is collaborative interviews? So before I answer this question myself, can I like move to the chat section and quickly see if anyone knows like what exactly collaborative interviews are? Anyone from the audience?
Collaborative interviews.
Nope,
I'm
we don't
hearing
have
for the
anyone.
first time. Yeah.
Minang, you're on mute.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Collaborative interviews. Chaitanya says, yes, that's interesting. Yeah.
Cool. So Chaitanya, can you drop in a one-liner about what collaborative interviews are according to you? Chaitanya?
What is this new term?
Great. So I was telling I'm interested to hear. Okay, my bad.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. It's a new
Cool.
term. Yeah. Let's find it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do we take interviews today? It's mostly on Google Meets or Microsoft Teams or whatsoever video interviewing platform you're using, because we are in the middle of a pandemic, or there may be organizations still operating remotely before the pandemic, or even post pandemic. I think we have now developed a habit of working remotely itself. So we are now taking interviews on Google Meets, Microsoft Teams, and typical process is, depending on the role, if the person has to share a PPT or somewhat share an Excel kind of a thing, they'll share their screen. And if I was hiring for a tech role, this is what I usually used to follow in my previous organization. What we used to do was we used to get on a Google Meets call, give the candidate a problem statement. The candidate used to open their code editor, and they used to solve the problem statement. Now, especially in interviews like that, the person who's at the receiving end is the interviewer, is generally sitting idle, doing nothing, not they're just viewing the candidate screen. Especially if I talk about a tech interview, uh, in my particular scenario, it was very hard to ask follow-up questions in with the screen sharing mode. Uh, just to give you an example, in a tech interview, follow-up questions are not sentences in English that you can speak out verbally. They are lines of code. You cannot speak out lines of code verbally. We had to resort to a lot of tools like using Google Docs for typing in code, sometimes using Google Meet chat to type in code, which was like very, very user unfriendly. And someone at the side of the candidate was juggling between tools. Imagine that a person having that bad a candidate experience, wherein they are screen sharing with you, they have opened a tool, maybe Excel, maybe a PPT, maybe anything, it might be the desktop or maybe a code editor or a browser tab, and they are just juggling between things just to get your question right. I think that puts a lot of pressure on the candidate. They are not able to focus a lot on the question. The interview, half the time in the interview is going gone through switching through the context and getting the question right, which is a shift of focus. Then what do we do? How do we solve it? Comes into picture collaborative interviews. What are collaborative interviews? They are basically real-time interviews, which are not using screen sharing as a medium, but rather using something which is real time, like Google Docs. But using Google Docs, wherein you are actually engaging with the candidate on a single screen without sharing the screen, but your video call is also happening alongside. I'll just later on show you how you can do it very, very seamlessly, and also allow your candidate experience to be a 5-star experience. So as I was saying, candidate experience is very, very important. If there is a panel or you have multiple rounds of interviews, sending the right feedback becomes crucial. In a collaborative interview, the interviewers will engage with the candidate more, and that's very likely because the medium itself is collaborative, and you are not just staring at someone's screen. You are either typing or you are either uh, you know uh, the system demands proactiveness from the interviewer side, and that's where the candidate can get to know the other side of the person. I'll explain a bit of that in a small demo to you. Uh, this is one of our customers case study. I'll come back to this candidate experience one in one of my demos, which would just be a 2 minutes demo. This is one of our customers case study, which I'll again come after the demo. Let me just switch to the demo, and that this is what I call collaborative interviews. This is where interview comes into picture, and you can literally see in the video collaboration is happening. Let me just create an interview here. Let's say I am someone from non-tech. I'll just switch to a plain text, which is kind of a substitute for Google Docs, and I'll just create an interview. Now this is asking me to switch my video and audio. I'll just mute my audio, so that it doesn't echo because I'm already speaking on Zoom, and I'll just enter this interview. Now, once I enter the interview, you can see my video is turned on. And this is kind of, this single tool is serving a purpose of video calls as well as serving the purpose of collaboration. Collaboration how? Let's see that live. Let me open another URL in incognito mode. Let's say this URL was shared. This is just like Google Meets URL. Like you share the Google Meets URL with somebody and they'll join you on Google Meets. They'll meet you. You guys will have a video conferencing. This is now an interview URL. Let me enter the name of the candidate as candidate only, and let me mute my audio here, and let me also switch off my video because it's already turned on the other side. So let me enter the interview. Now, once I enter the interview, you can see both these people are connected on a video call. If I were to switch my video here, yeah, actually both these people will be connected. So yeah, this is because I've opened it in incognito. You're seeing me 2 times, but in reality, this will be the other person who has opened this URL. Now you are doing a collaborative interview. This whole thing is actually collaborative. So you are not just talking, you are writing it alongside with the person. So hey there, this is collaborative. If I switch to the other screen, you can see that's already visible on the interviewer side. And then there is a collaborative whiteboard as well. So whatever you want to discuss, be it any role, let's say it's a marketing role itself, or if it's a tech role, you can just draw flow diagrams that, hey, can you explain how will that funnel, a particular funnel work? And let's say if
Absolutely. I was about to say that. I was about to tell the funnel part because it's so important to know
Yeah.
the funnel from top to the bottom. And this is like, okay, collaborate. So this is actually what collaborative interview means. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So whatever I'm drawing here on the whiteboard is visible on the other side. So you can see the cursor of the candidate is here, and I can actually type in here, hey, can you make a simple funnel of our customer workflow or something?
I love
And
the
then if I
fun.
move,
By the way.
yeah, if I move on to the other side, it's already visible, and now the candidate can start drawing. This is not screen sharing. You're not sharing screen. You're not speaking. You're actually typing with the candidate. Typing alongside the candidate and being a part of that interview process itself tells a lot about the interviewer as a person, the company as a person. And there are times when a lot of candidates have given this feedback to my HR saying that, hey, my candidate experience was bad because this interviewer made a mess of my round. They were not even focusing. They were continuously busy in taking phone calls. They were busy in listening to music while I was solving this particular question. That won't happen in a collaborative interview because you are actually
And
typing.
can multiple interviewers be involved too?
Oh, absolutely, yes. So if I invite another person, let me open this link in Firefox. My computer will go literally slow, so I may want to skip that step. But yes, we do that a lot. There are times when younger folks from our team want to come and shadow us.
Okay.
So there are a couple of folks that join us in a round, and we conduct a panel interview remotely in a collaborative fashion. And I'll tell you a plus point with this collaborative fashion. Let me close this whiteboard down. You have note taking which is collaborative just for the interviewers, and the candidate does not even have a hint of what you're noting down.
Okay.
Yeah,
That is
so
interesting.
this note taking is collaborative.
That is
And as
interesting.
you can see, it is not visible on the candidate side. For the candidate, it's a very plain editor. For any people who are hiring for tech roles in the audience, we have a lot of technologies as well apart from the plain text. There's this deliberate thing. I started off with the plain text mode because this I did not want it to be understood as a just a tech hiring tool. It's actually applicable for all roles.
Absolutely. Anyone who's hiring in any sort of role, like be it sales or marketing,
Exactly.
etc., this actually helps. Yeah.
Exactly. There are actually people who are hiring for sales role using this tool, and they actually make a small assignment out of the tool, and make the candidate type on the tool, which is kind of a subjective question. So I might give a case study or something, and the candidates now will answer in a subjective way, and later on I can review the assignment. And now I'll show you one more aspect of the tool, wherein I was actually telling you that the feedback loop, that generally in an organization it is not complete. People who are, especially who are beyond 20 people organizations, or even if they are at an early stage, you would want to have a feedback loop to make the custom candidate persona the right way. Let's say I take a detailed feedback while I'm taking the interview. The tendency of me taking a detailed feedback is very high, when I'm in a collaborative interview as opposed to a screen sharing one, because in a screen sharing one, I'm just generally sitting idle. And in a collaborative interview, I'm just writing alongside the candidate. So there's this psychological reason why I would take the notes in much more detailed fashion, and I don't have to juggle through another software. I don't have to switch to another software. I am not taking notes on an email. I'm not taking notes on a copy. I'm not even taking notes on my Mac Notes app. I'm doing it on right on interview. So let's type in some pros of the candidate. Good experience of 7 years comes
And can this all
from
be recorded?
good digital marketing background, already done 0 to million, seen hockey stick. This is like I'm making a persona of a dream candidate for you. Let's
By
say,
the way,
and
can this all be recorded?
oh yes, I'll come to that. That's what I want to show actually. That's why I'm taking down the notes. So
Okay.
let's talk about not so positive. So the candidate might be a bit uh, fussy about timings, work hours, or anything, or maybe it might be anything, right? Not so positives can be the candidate has only worked in large teams. Let's say, these are some not so positives. So, and let's say I give the verdict as well. So the verdict would be, let's proceed to the next round. And now what I'll do is I'll just end the interview. Now, to answer your question, once I end the interview and go back to my dashboard, here's this interview, which is it auto generates a playback. So, and this product comes with a Teams feature. I can actually add all of my team members who will then be able to collaborate on that playback and make a decision whether to go ahead with a person or not. Let's say you are someone who's taking the second round and you want to know what happened in the first round. So you, rather than calling me up and asking, hey, what happened in the first round, you can just open the playback and read my interview notes. There's this resume.
Where was this tool before? Where was this tool when I was hiring? Yeah.
See the resume also. So the resume you can upload while you're scheduling an interview. Generally, it's always a scheduled interview. It's not a run of the mill thing. Yeah. So when you schedule an interview, you can actually upload a resume, and this resume comes up here. I can actually upload a sample resume and show you. This is such a pain point that it is solving. A lot of times my HR used to send me a resume 1 week before the interview actually used to start, and that resume used to get lost in the pile of emails. And I used to call my HR before 1 minute before the interview, hey, can you share the resume back again, because I'm not able to find it. So this is solving that thing because the resume is right available here. And the drawing board history
happened with me as well, because when I was hiring, I just, before getting on the interview, I'm like searching across the mail. Okay, where's this candidate's resume over here? Okay, what has he written, etc. It's like,
absolutely.
Now this is so helpful when it is just on there on the screen. It's going to be truly handy, as Aslam says.
Yeah. So the resume is right here. The notes are right here. The console does not show anything because hey, you have not done any kind of programming. You just was on a plain text, and the drawing board history is right here. So you can actually play it back. This is a playback. This is not a screen recording, but an event recording. What that means is this is actually optimized rather than a screen recording. The screen recording will actually store each and every information, even when the candidate was not typing on the pad, or even if when you were not typing on the pad. This is actually an event recording wherein whenever you type, whenever you delete, whenever you do a keystroke, it will capture that and play back in a loop.
So this is truly intelligent. This is truly intelligent.
Yeah. So typically for a 1 hour round, it's just a 5 to 7 minutes of gist that you want to have before you take on the next round or decide whether to go ahead with the candidate or not. And again, there are take-home assignments that you can send. As I said, assessment is a very important part of hiring. You would want to filter out candidates before you actually go ahead and talk to them in a live interview. And you can actually create your assignment on the fly. There's a range of questions. You can have MCQ-based questions, subjective questions. You can give case studies to the candidate to solve. And once they attempt it, you can actually invite people in bulk. You can have 500 people, 50 people, 100 people, or even one person take this assignment, choose and end it to the assignment. And this all, once the person has attempted the test, this is the best part. You can actually view the report of that person sitting. This is me attempting the test. This system takes a real snapshot of a person when they are taking the test, obviously with their consent. You can turn it off if you want to. It's configurable all there in the system, and it will give you all the questions that were attempted and what was answered in the question. This is a very coding centric take home assignment, but there are take home assignments that are MCQ based or subjective, focuses on case study. You can even have them. So all of that can be done with the tool, and then there is this question bank, which is ever evolving. This tool gives you a variety of questions that you can ask, and you can add your own questions along with the team, because you already invited your team for on this tool. They can collaborate on the tool and collaborate on your question bank, so that you can make meaningful questions, so that you, when it's the right time, you are not you are not out of you do not run out of the right questions that need to be asked in the interview.
Interesting, very interesting.
Yeah. I'll just move to Zoom a bit for a bit to see if there are any quick questions to address now. Let me move back to the presentation. I think we just have one more slide left,
Okay.
which is just a small case study. Yeah, so this is one of the companies that use the tool. They did it, all of this, at least the first 3 steps were done in 4 hours. They had 450 applicants. They sent them an assignment. They did a first shortlisting, 120, and then they immediately sent another assignment. And because they were running this whole thing with a campus, they were able to get the second assignment attempted within 4 hours, and they were able to shortlist out of 450 38 right candidates. And the final list out of those 38, depending on the grading of the assignment, they boiled on to 10 people and hired five out of them when they live interviewed them. So what if this company did not use the tool, and actually they had to screen 450 candidates, and that's a huge cost to company. That's one of the big case studies how this was done, and squeezed this 2 months or 3 months long exercise was squeezed into few hours, and the hire was done within the next week.
I can 100% relate with that, because I had to screen around 200 people who applied for the social media job at PitchGround. I'm like, okay, how am I going to screen that? This was such a nightmare, but it took us like weeks to do that, scheduling stuff, and it was just too much, So
Yeah, I totally understand your pain. Like I've been there, and that's why this tool comes in handy. And
I wish
I'm
I had
open
this tool
to
beforehand. Yeah.
well, be late than never. So I'm open to taking up any questions. I'll just stop my screen sharing and switch on my video
And
back.
guys, I'm gonna quickly share the offer with you guys, and then we can get on all the questions. So please keep asking your questions in the Q&A section, and we will get to answering all your questions. So coming to my screen, this is the tool which you just saw it live, guys. It's called Interview, and it allows you to hire not just better programmers, but hire better people and get better people into your organization. And we have these three incredible plans here. That's 49, 97, and 197. The main difference is the user accounts and the interviews per month. But I would say if you're like an organization or a startup that has at least 10 or 15 people, I would 100% go with the $197 plan, because as I said, I had to hire 200. I had to shortlist between 200 people, and it's going to be 120 interviews a month. So yes, this $197 plan totally makes sense. So make sure if you're grabbing a plan, I want you to make sure if it's like like you're getting the right plan for your startup and your company. But for this webinar only, guys, the deal is going to end. We have a special offer. The offer is really, really simple. You buy any plan of interview, the 49 or 97 or 197, you get another plan of interview for free. Yes. So if you buy a $197 plan from your PitchGround account, we'll add another $197 plan into your PitchGround account. So that means you can just give it to your fellow entrepreneur, or you can use this for yourself. You can use it for anyone. You can give it to your colleague, etc. So just the 3 simple steps, guys. Buy any plan of interview, get one more interview code absolutely for free. And that is lifetime, guys. This is lifetime, not a monthly subscription, etc. You already saw how powerful the tool is when it comes to hiring the right candidates. So steps are really simple. Buy any plan of interview, go to the review section here. Once you go to the review section, click on write a review and write a review. once you purchase the tool, write a review. I'm going to share something in the chat, and I'm gonna fill this form. That's it. 3 simple steps. Buy any plan, write in a review, and fill the form. And once you do that, you get the offer, the 1+1 offer, which is a no-brainer offer, guys. Just for this webinar alone, it's not gonna come anytime soon. People outside this webinar who are buying this, they're probably missing out on it. So this for this webinar alone, this is the offer which you have. And for the cost of $49 for lifetime, where you can hire better candidates, I'm sure this is a cost that is completely justified, and that is completely helping you, giving you tons of ROI. If you hire one great candidate, if he sticks with you, it's like thousands of dollars in ROI just for, from the one single candidate. Yep. I want you to think like that in terms of like that, and then you can read about the tool here, but the offer, you can ask questions right now, guys, because we have the founder of the tool here with us. You can ask any single, bring it on. We will end this webinar only when the Q&A section is completed. So ask your questions and we'll get to all of your questions. So for repeating the offer again, buy any plan of interview, leave a review out there, fill the form, which is in the chat, and you get the 1+1 offer, limited only to this webinar, probably ending in the next 45 minutes. So make sure you do that really soon. So I'm going to stop my screen sharing and we're going to look at the questions that are coming in. So Harshal asks us a question. How do you start and close compensation information if hiring for a startup?
Well, that's a good question. And I would actually give this answer with an example. Especially this question is in context of a startup. I'll tell you what I did. So I think this is the very first conversation that you should do. The 4 steps that I showed in the presentation, wherein you do the resume screening, you send an assessment, you do face-to-face rounds, and then you do a cultural fit. Just reverse it in order. And you do a cultural fit first. In the cultural fit, just tell the compensation upfront and generally keep it a range. I know a lot of companies out there will pay more than what you are offering, but then alongside the compensation, just be upfront that, hey, we are going to offer this X amount, but we also have this thing to offer, and which may be ESOPs, or which may be a crazy, insane amount of growth that your startup may be seeing. If you have good backers, investors, talk about them and tell them that if we are giving ESOPs to you, they are valuable. And I'll just cite one example. I went on to hire an engineer who was already working with this company called Amazon, and Amazon is a big company. The kind of compensation that they give to the engineers, it's insane. So I had to make sure this person joins us. We had about 3 to 4 conversations with this person already. I explained the compensation part very upfront, that hey, this is what I cannot go beyond, but what I can offer you is insane amount of growth. We have very good backers. The idea is very nice, and whatever we are working on from a tech standpoint is amazing, and you won't find anywhere like this in India. And we did that, and that person is right now working with us. But here's what you can do as well. What you can do is, a lot of times people would just not take the risk. People will say, hey, it's too risky to work with a startup. You can mitigate that risk by just telling them that, hey, you are already 4 years into the industry, or 3 years into the industry, or you are already a founder and you already know so many people. You have a huge circle, and the way this market works is on referrals, and having the right skill set. If you work with us, you will have skill set, and 1 year down the line, if this does not work out, which by the way has 0.0001% chance, will still refer to a company of your choice. So that's how you can mitigate.
That's an interesting proposition.
Yeah. So that's what I always do when I'm hiring for, especially for engineering roles, because it's a bit of a challenge. So I hope that answers your question, Prem Kumar. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have another question. That was Harshal, by the way. And Prem Kumar has a question. Can we highlight the resume for certain points when we have saved in the collaboration interview? Yeah.
That's an interesting use case, and a few of the organizations who are already using the tool have come up with this. So this is one of the use cases that is in our pipeline and we are working on. So eventually, yes, you will be able to.
That's actually a good suggestion, Prem. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Let's say we are hiring a higher number of candidates. Can we run certain tests at the same time?
Yes, so you can run any amount of tests in parallel. Our systems are scalable. We have tested it out. I showed you a case study. So this company was able to test about 450 candidates in a matter of 4 hours. And at a single instance of time, there were about 300 to 350 odd candidates taking the test. So you can totally do that.
Interesting. So Prem says we haven't seen the whole workflow from the start to end. We just saw only one scenario or the use case.
Oh, I'm not sure which workflow exactly I missed, but there are only 4 components to interview, guys. One is your team, which is like the most important bit, or you can use it for your individual purpose also. In case you have your team, you can feel free to invite them. They'll be. It's just like adding subscribers to your Netflix account. Once you add your subscribers to your Netflix, they all will be able to. You will be able to share screen, watch the same programs. Just like that, if you invite people to interview, they'll be able to collaborate on interview, make hiring decisions seamlessly, make a question bank. So Teams is one of the aspects. The other aspect is the question bank. The third aspect is the take-home assignment, wherein you can invite candidate in bulk, filter them out before calling them out for live interviews. And the fourth aspect and the last is live interviews. And everything in live interviews and take-home assignments generates a report or a playback for you, which you can later on fall back on to make your hiring decision. I hope
Guys,
that answers your question because I tried doing justice to uh, the presentation. Yeah.
absolutely. And guys, imagine this. You're only gonna grow from this point and beyond. And when in future you're if you want to grow, if you want to scale, you gotta hire more people. And when hiring more people, what if you hire, of course you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna hire make some bad hires as well. But what if you can increase your chances in hiring the right person for your company? It's going to save a ton of time. As Johan was saying in the chat before, it's like breaking a leg if you're hiring a very bad person. I've had that experience too. Yes, I've had that experience too. I can 100% say that. So, and it's going to be like months of, months of struggle when you hire a bad person. They're not fitting, and then you waste another time finding out good candidate. Guys, let's make it simple for you. Okay, let's make it simple for you. That's why we bought an interview on PitchGround, because for you guys to hire better candidates in a faster and in a much more efficient manner. That's what our goal is. When we're actually discussing, and we thought, okay, interview is actually a good tool that actually people can use to hire better programmers, better salespersons, better marketing persons, be it any kind of hiring a better candidate. And for the webinar offer, it's going to be a no-brainer. Buy any plan. Yes, any plan. And the webinar probably ends in about another 35 odd minutes. So buy any plan and leave a review and fill the form, which is in the chat. We will give you the double, the offer. Basically, one more plan, which you can gift it to your fellow colleague or another entrepreneur friend of yours. Imagine this. You're talking to a different entrepreneur who is a friend of yours from a different company, and he's like, okay, he's talking to you about facing challenges while hiring. You can actually say, okay, I have a software called Interview. Why don't you try it out? And you can actually gift him. This is such a nice gifting option as well. If you're giving it to your entrepreneur friend, especially when you buy in this offer, you don't have to spend any more. I mean, it's just the same. We're gonna give you another code absolutely for free. Any plan you buy, the $97 plan, sure. We give you another $97 plan absolutely for free. $197 plan, sure. Even the $49 plan, all right. All right. We give you another code absolutely for free. So buy any plan, leave a review, fill the form, and you will get another plan of interview, another lifetime deal code absolutely for free. That's one thing I want to tell that as the time is running out. And the next thing I want to tell you guys is the PitchGround community. It's community.pitchground.com. And here we have made a separate section for job openings. So basically, I haven't logged in yet. So basically what happens is uh, whether if you want to find a new candidate for yourself, or if you want to if you want to find a job for yourself, you can actually post here and get candidates from the pitch ground community itself. That's what we want to do with the community. It's launching on 25th. The official launch of community is happening on 25th. You can talk about many different topics that we have here. But this is the job opening session. We want, especially want to help people find jobs and get hired absolutely faster. Find candidates if you're a job, if you're hiring candidates. So this is the community of pitchground.com. I just wanted to show you guys. I've repeated the offer already. Buy any plan, leave a review, fill the form, and you get another offer absolutely for free. And save time on hiring, guys. Save time on hiring. So if you want the replay, just go to events.pitchground.com, because Rahul, you have raised some amazing points about the collaborative interviews, about etc. So you can just, the replay would be out there in 24 hours. The section has been made, but the replay would be out there in 24 hours. Make sure to check it if you have missed out or if you joined in between. So guys, if you have any more questions, leave it in the Q&A tab, and we're gonna answer them all. Until then, so coming to the giveaway part, which is the most interesting part. So guys, if you're in the webinar, I just want you to type in interview, INTERVUE, interview. The tool's name, guys. Yeah. You don't want to type in the wrong spelling. It doesn't count. So type in interview, and I'll choose one lucky person who's going to take home this lifetime deal absolutely for free and get to hire more people. So I can see Drew, Shara, Johan are typing in. Guys, only 4 people have typed in. Type in interview, and we'll choose one lucky person from the chat section here. Type in interview. I'm waiting for more people to type in. And 3, 2, 1, and stop. So I'm going to choose Shahraj. Congratulations, Shahraj. You have won the lifetime deal for interview. You can contact support at pitchground.com. I've written your name as well. Shahraj is the winner for the lifetime deal. Congratulations, Shahraj. You won. Try out interview. Tell us how your experience with it. Share your experience. And if you hired a candidate using interview, we would love to know that as well. Prem Kumar, in the meantime, was busy buying the tool. So he says he bought it. Congratulations, Prem. I wish, I pray that you hire better candidates and you get better candidates in the future and grow your organization. I totally do that. So awesome. So Prem, I hope you fill the form as well, because that is important. If you don't fill the form, you won't get the offer. That's going to be hard. Anyone else who's buying, you can, the steps are interesting. And yes, that was Ubuntu. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Ubuntu. I'm a coder, so I use Ubuntu.
I was also using Ubuntu for a while back, then shifted to Manjaro, and I like experimenting with Linux distros. So yeah.
Yeah, I think Linux is pretty lightweight.
True. So, especially, yeah. So guys, I'm gonna stop the recording here.